Just a real short video. If you have the HWH X slide, AP27707, I've got a 05 Monaco signature. I know that they're used on Holiday Rambler, some different models, but basically this is the slide. Passenger side, get your kitchen over here, and you've got this little cubby back here. If you break this chain, this is the hardest chain on the whole motorhome to replace, but I have a little bit of a trick to make it a lot easier for you. This chain is held on by two pins down here on the cylinder, and right now I've got part of the link off of there, and then this single bolt up here holds it to the frame itself. That bolt is this little 1/4 inch, just standard hex cap screw. Nothing fancy, grade 5. Mine bent a little bit, not a lot, a little bit. The pins on the other end that go to the cylinder are stainless. I don't know if they're even grade 5, but they use these little snap rings on the end. Snap rings are easy to get off. You can just use pliers or a screwdriver or whatever, but getting them back on would be a little bit of a challenge just because it's so hard to reach everything back there. I got digging around in the garage, and I have these 1/4 20 socket head cap screws. Just take, I think it's a 3/8 Allen bit, but anyway, whatever size it is, it doesn't matter. It fits in there perfectly. The ones that I have are a little bit too long, so I had to cut off a little bit of thread, but it worked out pretty good because the body it's almost perfect once you cut that thread off, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It worked out really well for me. So anyway, I don't know the length for this piece here. It's probably like 1 3/4 inches if I had to guess, but if you take yours apart you can measure it. Anyway, you can get those from Fastenal, Ace Hardware. I ordered them from McMaster Car. I live in a really small town. We don't have a lot of options here, but I had some of these on hand for a different project I was working on around the house, so it just worked out perfect that I had them. The old chain broke here on one of these rivets. You can see the roller is missing here and here. I don't have it all together, but anyway, there were 3 rollers that were broken, and that was 3 out of 4 in a row. So what happened is that chain got stuck on this guide block up here. You have to have the rollers to get you over that, and the cylinder pushes and pulls. This chain's a push-pull. That's why it's so stiff, and they've got the rollers on here. It's designed to work both directions. Instead of using 2 cylinders, they just have one and make it go both ways. So it makes working on this a little bit of a challenge, but here's the trick. Most people will tell you that you've got to take off this trim piece, which you can. It's just Velcroed on, but mine has never been removed, and I didn't want to screw it up, so we just worked around it. You can sometimes get to stuff through this little cabinet down here, but I can't because I've got a bunch of plumbing right there. There's just no way to really get in there and work. I could, that's my washer over there. I could take my washer out, but who wants to do that? So what we did is where this bolt goes on the frame, it takes a 7/16 socket. The 7/16 socket won't fit unless you've got a real thin one. So we took a burr bit on a Dremel and did it the redneck way. We just dremeled this thing out. I mean, I don't know if I can even get it in focus. There's literally no room to work on anything in here. There we go. We dremeled that out, made it so that the 7/16 socket could fit in there, got that bolt out. The 2 pins down here, we took the snap rings off and they just came out. Once everything was loose, it wasn't a big deal. To get the new one in, I ran the slide out switch to make the cylinder move up and down to get everything to line up while my buddy put everything in here. And then we just replaced the pins and this bolt up here with those cap screws. So it makes everything a lot easier to get to, and you don't have to worry about the socket issue. And these are way stronger than what was in there. They're grade 9 as opposed to like a grade 5, which this bolt is definitely grade 5. I don't know about these stainless pins, they may be stronger, but HWH does sell these. If you happen to break a link, one of these riveted ones, you can drill these out and replace it with one of these pins, but you could also just use one of these, whatever width that needs to be. You've got plenty of room. If it needs to be a little bit wider or whatever, I don't think it'll actually hit anything. So, and then what happened with mine, you can see how chewed up this thing is. Some bolt got in there. I don't know where it's from. It's not part of the slide at all. It got in there, got caught up, busted off some of the rollers, chewed this thing up real bad, and that's what broke the chain. And when it broke, it sounded like somebody shot the side of my motorhome with a 12 gauge. It was really loud. But it was, thankfully, it didn't do any damage, and it ended up not being quite as hard to do this as everybody had me psyched out for. There's a couple videos online and some things on forums and stuff, and people talk about this being like the hardest thing you could ever do on a motorhome. It's definitely challenging, but it's not that big of a deal. I didn't use any special tools. Got a socket set, some pliers. Like I said, the Dremel that's outside. If you can get these real long pliers with the 90 on them, get 2 of those, make your life a lot better in this regard anyway. If you're having other problems, it ain't gonna help you with that, but it made this really simple. It's easy to reach to. You can get your head in this cubby in one arm, and that's about all you can do. So anyway, quarter 20, use those, and you don't even have to get all the specialty stuff. It'll make it easier to reassemble, and just grind some stuff to make it go together easier. That's really all you got to do. There's no special trick other than that. And now the slide works great. I've had problems with it since I bought it, so I guess it was a pre-existing problem, but it works great now and couldn't be happier. So I just wanted to share the info. Good luck.